What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm MoedotJ and we are locked in. This is episode 9 of season 4 of the Ozarks, part 2. Now you see I got gray hair in my head because I am stressing. Ruth just killed Javi. Everything is blowing up in front of our eyes. Marty has to go to Mexico, take over the cartel, and try to keep things in order while Navarro gets moved back out of solitary. Now, before we jump into this episode, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of it, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. Now, everything is crumbling down on us. We also see that Maya Miller, Agent Miller, told Marty, "You're just another criminal to me. There is no deals on the table. There is nothing you can do." So now Marty and Wendy have to go out there and figure out what are they going to do? How are they going to get Navarro up and out of here? So let's jump into it. This is episode 9 of the Ozarks. The 4 signs we have in episode 9: iced tea, a coffin, handcuffs, and keys. Marty and Wendy, of course, we know that they're clashing. They became a team a little bit stronger than they were first season, but they still have their own ideas of what they want to do. Marty's talking about, did we ruin Ruth's life? Now, I don't agree that they ruined Ruth's life, because if she never stole from them, then she would never been in this situation. Her killing Javi was really on her. Now, what Wendy is saying is, look, I want to keep the riverboat. I want to still do my politics. And Marty is saying, how are we going to do this and protect everybody? Now, this is where you hear Wendy saying, we had everything we wanted. Now we're putting ourselves back into it. That's why she was trying so hard to get Navarro out so he could go to Mexico and keep things running and they could stay out of it because they done made a lot of money. Marty is also saying that we both chose this lifestyle. Even though she didn't necessarily decide to get into it, she took on this. And what did she do? She tried to make things happen on her own behind Marty's back, which always turned into some drama. 3, the only person he has left is his cousin Ruth. Now I call Ruth their sister because that's how close the relationship is with everybody. I know everybody jump, they're not brother or sister, but that's how close they all are. Now you remember he was on the phone with Ruth because he knew she was trying to kill whoever killed Wyatt. So when she shows up, he asks, did you do it? And when Ruth says yes, he's kind of sad and he just goes back in the house because at this point, he's about to lose the only family member he has left, which is Ruth. Wendy shows up to Shaw because she's trying to talk to Claire. Now, you remember Javi was killed and he was the guy that was bringing in the drugs so they can get it at a discounted price. And that was the whole meeting in episode 8 where he was trying to get a deal for 5 years, 20% off and get some stocks and, in return so he can have a little bit of ownership of the company. Now, Claire isn't answering her phone calls because right now she doesn't know what's going on. So when Wendy gets up here, she's talking to Claire's security and he's like, just go home. You should understand why she's not answering the phone. Somebody was just murdered in her company. That's not good for anybody. So of course she's not answering this until they can figure out what they're going to do moving forward. We all remember the private investigator that was hounding the Byrdes trying to find Helen. Now she has been missing. So what does he do? He goes to Helen's husband. You remember they were going through a divorce and they have a daughter named Erin. Now Mel is actually the one that gives all the information to Helen's husband and tells him that your wife has been working for a cartel and we think she may be dead. She's came up missing. We haven't heard from her. Now, of course, he doesn't know where she's at. She's been gone for a while and he's hearing this information from Mel and he's like, man, I didn't know all of that. Now, Erin comes out because she hears what's going on. Now, Erin had a closer relationship with the Byrdes than anybody. She was supposed to be friends with Charlotte, but realistically, Charlotte was just keeping her away from the business. And then she told her a little bit. Now, she's telling her dad, just leave it alone because she knows her mom was involved in some nonsense down there. Now, her dad's like, what do you mean? I told you to stay out of here. And she's like, Dad, just leave it alone. Don't press it because she knows how dangerous the Byrdes can get. Now, Mel, the private investigator, he's hearing this and he's looking like, what does this kid know? Why is she telling her dad to stay out of grown folks' business when her mom is potentially missing and the FBI says she works with the cartel? Back at the Byrde house, you already know they're very, very dysfunctional over here. Jonah's doing his own thing. Charlotte's basically doing her own thing. And Wendy wants to know who the heck told Ruth that we were going to be in Chicago because Javi is dead. And you remember it was Charlotte the one that told there's going to be a meeting in Chicago. Jonah, all he did was give the picture to Ruth so she can know exactly who Javi is. Now Wendy's like, oh my goodness, how could Jonah do this? Same way Jonah went to go work for Darlene Snell. Jonah does not care or respect anything that goes on in this house. During this family conversation, the feds actually show up to talk to the Byrdes. Now what they're looking for is where the heck is Javi? Well, Javi is gone missing. You hear Wendy say he did say he was going to meet with a professor. Now, I don't know if they're going to go check that down because we know the professor got his ass whooped in that bathroom. Now, the reason the FBI is here is because they're not getting any more seizures. They're not getting any drugs. They're not getting any guns. So what they need to figure out is how to get Navarro out of jail and back to Mexico off the SDN list. The SDN list is basically blocked. These are people that you won't allow to leave the country. Basically just a block list for foreign nationalists. Now, if they can't get Navarro out, that means they can't do any seizures on any drugs or any money or anything. And this is bad for the FBI because you remember the deal was we need someone in the organization to give up some stuff in order for the feds to be able to justify keeping this connection going. That's why they arrested Navarro and they put Javi in charge. Now, it didn't work the way that they wanted it to, but here we are. Exactly what Marty predicted is happening. Everything would start to crumble if Javi was killed. Now, at Claire's house, a representative from Javi's tile company shows up and they're looking for him because he sent a message saying that he was going to get the stock options from Shaw Pharmaceuticals last night. Now, they haven't heard from him. Of course, Claire was there, so right now she has to say, well, we talked over the phone. I don't know what happened to him because he's missing. Now, this lady is part of the cartel. You see the Goonie she had pull up with her. Now, she gives Claire her card and says, we're going to be in Chicago until we find him. If you know anything, give us a call. Now the cartel is snooping around Chicago. Claire is very, very scared. She's talking about change the number to that gate code ASAP. Mel is over here working overtime. He just went up to Chicago, talked to Helen's husband, her daughter. And now when he gets home to talk to his cat, he gets a phone call. And as soon as he lays down, he's like, what? Because it sounds like it's money on the other end of that call. He gets back up. Now we got to get back on the road. You all remember the lady that Ruth went over to and she got the cassette from and she was actually getting some information about her mother. Well, she has baby Zeke. And since Darlene and our boy Wyatt, they are no longer here, she's telling Ruth, hey, why didn't you tell me that this was a missing baby? Because right now the baby is in the system and the baby went to Darlene as being adopted. So she gives the baby back to Ruth because she doesn't want anyone coming looking for this baby and they find out that this baby, it would be considered kidnapping if this baby is found at her house. Because, you know, she does a little bit of other things over at her house also. We also remember that Ruth, when she was riding to Kansas City, she had to stop by and talk to Frank and get a gun. He told her, when you get done using it, toss it. Well, she drove to Chicago, killed Javi, and drove all the way back to the Ozarks, a full 8 hours with a pistol on her. Well, she actually throws it out into the lake. I would have probably got on a little boat or something and threw it a little bit further, but she disposed of the pistol that killed Javi. Ruth goes down to the sheriff's office and she's handing over baby Zeke and she's saying, I didn't watch the news, especially with everything going on. Now, the sheriff, we know she stepped up since Sheriff Nix is gone. R.I.P. to him, Javi got him. But she's trying to figure out what's going on here. She's trying to piece things together. She knows that Ruth is working with Darlene. So she's saying, who did this? Was it a drug hit? Ruth says, I didn't see anything. All I did was walk in and I seen Wyatt and Darlene there. But promise me, Sheriff, that you don't give baby Zeke to the Byrdes. Baby Zeke needs a better family. So this shows you how Ruth thinks of the Byrdes. Even though she put herself in this situation, she doesn't want baby Zeke to be with, especially Wendy. Marty is trying to do anything and everything he can to get his family out of this jam. Now he shows up and he's talking to Agent Miller. You remember she was the one that came and was running the audit of the riverboat. And then she was the one that actually arrested Navarro. Now Marty is trying to come up with, hey, you remember that deal you gave me 18 months? I come work for you, protect my family. Well, that deal is gone. Miller doesn't want to hear anything about that. She tells Marty pretty much, you're just another criminal. Now get out of my office. Marty is doing whatever he can because he knows with Javi gone and Navarro still locked up, there's no deal for them. There's nothing that they can do to protect their family. One of the signs, the handcuffs. Now, Navarro, he's been in solitary confinement. That means 23-1, talks to nobody, sends no letters, no phone calls, and nothing. Now, Wendy, we know that she was talking to the agent. She's coming in here and she's trying to talk to Navarro and get him to understand, take this deal. Let us run the operation for you. We get you out of this. Navarro, he doesn't want to hear this because his nephew is killed. He knows that Wendy and them has something to do with it. So everything for him looks like it's crumbling. And Wendy is saying, listen to me. The feds, they're going to allow me to do what I need to do. We're going to get you off the SDN list and get you back to Mexico. And the reason she's doing this is because as long as somebody's in charge of the cartel and they're seizing drugs and guns every now and then, maybe 1 or 2 a month, it will look good for everybody. And this keeps the Byrdes out of this. But Navarro, he's upset. And he told Wendy, I'll kill you. Because he wants to get out of here and they're ruining his family and organization. The phone call that the PI Mel got was from Nathan. This is Wendy's father. Now, he called this private investigator because he's been in Chicago, but he wants him to come down to the Ozarks to help look for Ben. Now, Jonah is also staying in the lazy old motel. He comes out and he sees his uncle. His grandfather. And he's like, oh, hey, granddad, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I just needed some separation. But little do we know, Grandpa brought his whole church down here to help look for Ben. So now Mel, not only is he going to be hounding the Byrdes about Helen, the lawyer, now he's going to be looking for Ben, the brother. When Wendy gets home, she calls her contact back to FBI and she's like, listen, I know Navarro is in solitary confinement. We need to get him back in the general population where he's able to make phone calls and everything. The only stipulation that Wendy has is Navarro has to know that it was Wendy that got it done. Basically, the reason she's saying this is so is Navarro knows that the Byrdes are trying to help him out. Even though they got rid of Javi, that was business. We're still trying to help you out and get you out of jail. This way, he won't send the cartel to come kill any of the Byrdes. Wendy is lying to everybody. She told the agent that, oh yeah, Navarro, he agrees with it. Same thing she just told Marty. Yeah, Navarro, when he hears a good deal, he'll go along with it. No, Navarro just said he was going to kill you. You lying to Marty again. The next sign is the iced tea lemonade, and that's because Grandpa is here. Now, Marty's in here listening. You know, he doesn't do too much talking because he likes to keep his family business and issues in the house, not letting everybody know. When I say in-house, between him, his wife, and his kids. Now, Pops is here, and he's like, I'm looking for Ben, Wendy, because you haven't done anything. And Wendy's saying, well, there's not much we can do because there isn't any information. Now, also, Grandpa is saying, I hired a private detective, Mr. Mel. And they're like, do you know why he got fired from the police department? Because he was stealing cocaine from the evidence locker. Now, Grandpa's like, look, if he can get the job done, I'm going to take him. And everybody deserves a second chance. Of course, Marty, he's like, damn, that's just another reason for Mel to come snooping around here. When Mel already has suspicion that they're working with the cartel also. Marty gets a call from the funeral home. Now, Wyatt's body has turned up, but he doesn't know exactly what to do with it. So he wants to go to Ruth and talk to her and see what she wants done. Now, of course, you hear Ruth. She's listening to some hip hop music. She got some beer in her hand. She's just going through it, reminiscing. But she hear Marty out. She used to love hearing Marty talk, but at this point, she kind of has a distaste for Marty. But she understands that she does have to bury her cousin Wyatt, and Marty going along and doing it for her, it's just one less thing she has to worry about. Even though she doesn't say much to Marty, we can know that she wants this done. Grandpa's in town. He's organizing dinners because he's going to find out what happened to Ben. Now, of course, Jonah and Charlotte, they're going to dinner with him. And Grandpa also got a new girlfriend. So Marty and Wendy, they want to tag along because what did I tell you earlier? We can't trust anything that Charlotte and Jonah say to anybody. Now, Grandpa, he's talking about Darlene. He's saying, man, that family that put together those missing pictures for Ben, which was really Darlene trying to get at Wendy because they know that they did something to Ben. He's saying, man, they were amazing. Now, this whole time, it's a big disagreement between Grandpa and Wendy because Wendy doesn't really want to be here. They just had to be here to make sure that things went smoothly. But Wendy gets up and she storms away from the table. And the reason Wendy left is because Grandpa started telling a story about how Ben idolized her, always looked up to Wendy. But she said during that story, he left out a part that when they got home, Grandpa hit Wendy so hard she couldn't walk for 2 days. So what she's telling Marty is, I don't want Grandpa to brainwash my kids and try to get them to turn against her. because she feels like grandpa's on a whole different side ever since they never seen eye to eye. But now we get a little backstory of why her and her father don't really talk. He abused her when she was younger. Agent Miller and private investigator Mel, that Eminem connection. They're sitting here and you hear Mel talking about, man, if I could get back on the police force, ooh, I miss being a cop. Brother, you were stealing cocaine from the from the evidence room. You ain't getting back on as a cop. But basically what they're doing here is they're talking to each other to try to share information on anything they have about the cartels or the Byrdes. Now, Mel's doing a little bit of flirting, talking about if you come up with some information first, I'll buy you dinner, and then vice versa. Now, Miller, she's talking about you're not doing that good of a job. But you see this going on between police departments, different departments, homicide, murder, robbery. They'll all start, here's some information I got to help each other out. Out of nowhere, Navarro gets moved from solitary to general population. Now, the first thing he says is I got to make a call. And when he gets out, he comes and talks to his father. And when I mean father, I mean priest, pastor, whatever you want to call him. After talking to Navarro, father and one of the cartel goonies, they pull up on Wendy. Now, she didn't go to the funeral for Wyatt. Now, while she's here, he's talking to her like, do you really think that you can get Navarro out and back to Mexico? Because the plan was to have you and the Byrdes killed. But once Navarro seen that Wendy actually held true to her word to get him in the general population, he changed his mind. Now, what the father is saying is, are you sure you want to do this? Because this is giving Navarro an opportunity to stay in prison and figure out and right his wrongs. Now, Wendy is saying, nah, we're going to get him out because she knows as long as he's out, the family is more so protected because the feds are going to be watching Navarro from here on out. But she lets the father know, does Navarro know that you want to keep him in prison? And he's just like, hey, I'm just saying this is an opportunity for you and your family. Now, he knows that Navarro has done some bad. And that's why he's saying keeping him in prison is probably a better move than actually getting him back in the streets, because Navarro would do more evil than he would good. Our next sign is the coffin. Now, we're at Wyatt's funeral here. Now, you see Ruth, she's sitting there. She's thinking back about when her and Wyatt, they were digging the grave. They were throwing dirt on each other. Now, as the coffin is going down, we see three throw some dirt on it. Ruth, she picks up some dirt, but instead of throwing it on the coffin, she actually drops it and runs off, because this is just bringing back the memories of when her and Wyatt were here and they were throwing dirt on each other. Now, if you look in the background, Marty is looking at it and he's like, something's got to be going on with Ruth for her to storm off like that. After the funeral, everyone shows up to the trailer parks and they're just giving stories about them and everything they did with Wyatt and all the good times. Jonah's there, Charlotte's there. Now, Ruth was inside, but then what do we see her do? She gets her sleeping bag. She comes out, she hears everyone talking. She's like, oh no, continue talking about it, because she wants to hear the good times also. But what does she do? She goes on the roof where Wyatt used to sleep at, because this is how she's dealing with all of her memories and her emotions. She's going up there, and this is just one way for her to get through it. Now, the Byrdes need to meet with Navarro. He just got moved from Gen Pop. He just took the hit off of their head. He wants to know what exactly is going on. Now, they're trying to get him out of here, but like I said, he's on the SDN list, so he's not going to be able to leave the country. So what does Marty come up with? He comes up with a plan. Let me go down there to Mexico and I'll run the cartel for you. Now, the only way this would work is if he has Navarro's blessing. But Navarro says he has to let everyone know that he is the one that took out Javi, because he looks weak right now. When you're in jail and you can't make no moves, you look very weak. So the whole plan is to get Marty to go down there, run the cartel on behalf of Navarro while he's locked up, and try to smooth things over. This way the feds can still get seizures of drugs, money, guns, something, so this deal can continue to go on. Very risky. The next morning, Claire and her security guard, they show up to the trailer parks and they're looking for Ruth. Why? Because Ruth just killed Javi in their building, and that was their connection. Now they're saying, look, we got footage of you killing Javi in our building. We need to figure out something moving forward, because right now we don't have any drugs coming in. So they're trying to say, Ruth, we got footage of you killing Javi, so you got to work with us. What does Ruth do? I don't give a damn. She goes in and gets the shotgun. You gonna try to blackmail somebody that just killed somebody? Nah. She got the shotgun at Claire's like, look, all right, put the gun away, security. We need your product. Because you remember, the Snells had some product, and that's why Javi wanted to get rid of him. One, because Darlene was always in their business, and two, she was about to be competition. So Claire is saying, look, this is a very lucrative deal. If you can supply us with the product, we can all make money here. And whatever happened with Javi, we can just sweep that up under the rug and we can move forward with this new business opportunity. With Wendy and Marty going to talk to Navarro, they potentially got something back in order. Marty's going to go down there. We're going to be able to get drugs. We're going to be right back in the business. So when Wendy calls Claire, Claire tells her straight up, hey, this business deal, it's over with. We're not doing it. That's because she's working with Ruth now. She's about to get the opioids straight from her, while Marty is about to go to Mexico, risk his life. And we don't even know what they're going to do with they drugs down there. So, of course, Wendy is trying to play it off, and she's lying to Marty again. The last sign of the episode is some keys. Where are these keys? Ruth sneaks into the Snell's house. Of course, it's crossed up. There's blood still on the wall. But she gets these keys because out back, we know there's some keys, if you know what I'm talking about. You use the little keys from the house. You go on down to the shed, open it up, and you got big keys in here. Now it's time for Marty to pack up his stuff and head down to Mexico because he's in charge of the cartel right now. Now you hear security telling them, man, that was a bold move. I don't know how you got Navarro to change his mind, because normally when he has his mind made up on getting rid of somebody, that's it. But Navarro feels like, man, if this gives me an opportunity to get out of jail, let's see what we can do with Marty. If Marty doesn't make it down there and they don't take on to him being a leader, oh well, I tried. There you go, episode 9 of Ozarks. What do you think about Mel and Miller? How do you think that relationship is going to work? And are they going to find out any significant information? And also, is the deal between Ruth and Claire at Shaw Pharmaceuticals worth it? And is it going to work before Marty figures out that's who partnered together? Let me know what you guys think. I'm MoedotJ. If you like the content on the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.